at the Vital Health events, we put on all kinds of information about health. We also have juicing, which is optional, yoga, Pilates. It's generally, well, the one in Spain is at a seaside resort. They're in the countryside, so there's plenty of fresh air around. It's an opportunity to take time to look at our health habits, what helps us, what we might want to put in place going forward.
So that's the general part of a Vital Health retreat. But we have an added ingredient in our seminars. So we recognize, while the body's important and working on the body, that we have to include the mind. And that's where we're different. So for 2 sessions a day, we spend a few hours sitting in a room examining our blocks, where our habits come from, learning tools about how to transform. And this is an experiential experience.
Yeah. It's an opportunity to sit with the awareness of the patterns of our behavior, which are built up during our lifetime. Because it's one thing to make promises to ourselves about how we're going to change our habits or get healthier or whatever. But unless we can really look at the roots of our behavior, of the patterns, then we might change stuff on the surface, but it won't be so long lasting. So the idea here is that we have a chance to really examine where those patterns have come from, what they are, and not only in a mental way, but also in an emotional way, to really feel the emotional journey that those patterns have involved and undo them, if you like, remake new ones that we know are going to be more helpful for us.
During these sessions, we also talk about the psychosomatic aspects of illnesses, and one of the ways to look at our body is what's going on in our body is a reflection of what's going on in our subconscious and unconscious mind. And while, you know, we can work on the physical, if you don't get the mental, then typically you repeat. And we've all done that. You go on a diet, you want to lose weight, you want to do this, and then 6 months later you're on the next diet and trying to do the same thing, but typically you don't get anywhere with it.
The seminars take the form of, they're unstructured. What the group brings, the issues and the questions they bring obviously set the tone. They take the form of usually having a focus person, somebody who focuses for the whole group, whatever's going on for them, which turns out to be generally common for all of us. We encourage people to be as honest as they can be, to visit their feelings, to be present with them. And there's a process, in other words, an example of how, not only mentally, but also physically, we can experience the change, which takes the form of a role play, perhaps, or a family constellation type idea, which you may or may not have come across. But that anchors it cellularly, in my experience, not just mentally, and it's really helpful for change.
And the other thing is, it's just generally what happens during the 5 days or the 3 day, however long they are, people really get to know each other. So the friendship grows greatly in the group. So typically people make lifelong friends, they really share their experiences. It becomes a bonded group in the end, and a group that supports each other. It's like everybody helps each other, and typically we have buddies, we have small family groups, all those things to help us learn, to help us communicate, help us to grow in friendship and learn more and more about relationship with other people, relationships with our body, relationships with the world around us, because it's through those relationships that we feel happiness and success.
The other aspect is that we become more aware of our bodies and what our bodies are communicating to us. We become more aware of how we feel at any given time. We become more aware of our impact on other people. So in general, our experience of life, I like to describe it like the bandwidth of our experience of life gets bigger. We can feel more highs, we can feel more lows, but we also learn to navigate those waters. We learn not to be frightened of them. We learn not to hide them away from other people. We learn to share them for the benefit of ourselves, but also the people that we're closest to.
Equally, it's our intention that when you leave the seminar after how many days, that you leave not only with ideas about being healthy and that you feel healthier and you can enjoy your body and you enjoy life more, but you leave with a toolkit, something that you can use to face the challenges of your life, that you understand why things happen more, and you just are much more mature, much more accomplished, and much more rounded as a human being, physically and mentally.
Of course, there is some fear around putting ourselves in a situation like this. I know there was for me initially. The thing to be aware of is that the sessions are completely confidential. We follow the principle of confidentiality. Not only that, you know, there's no forcing. Nobody has to do anything that they don't want to do or feel ready to do. And that's important to know as well. It's a supportive, nurturing environment, and generally there's also a lot of fun and laughter as well.
Yeah, we love doing it, and we know the experience of the people that come to them is that they really get a lot out of these events. Sometimes not in the way that they expected, but you know, they leave a lot happier.
Yeah, and with a deeper knowledge of themselves, and with that deeper knowledge of themselves comes the deeper understanding of what other people might be going through. In general, life becomes easier like that. There's not so much that we are frightened of. Things get more successful, things get more natural, things get more relaxed. And of course, our body, our health, physically will reflect that change.
So, thank you for listening.